ordinance number 2014-1880. That is amending, adding a new chapter 9.97 to municipal setting standards for delivery of public defender services as required by RCW. So, are you going to report on that, or is Richard? We don't have our attorney here.
Yeah, our attorney, Carol had been handling this, but we couldn't make it tonight.
I move to approve 2014.
I had all the questions after last week.
Second that.
All right. Councilmember Jones, would you like to speak to your motion?
My understanding that what this is doing is bringing our public defender services language in line with the state requirements. So it's just a matter of cleaning up our information in our cities and chapters.
The requirement for standards is in the RCW. The standards themselves are issued by the state Supreme Court. We just have a choice of adopting them or breaking the law, and I would prefer to adopt them.
Any other questions from council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, we'll call the council.
Councilmember Gerberding? Aye. Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Olivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item on the agenda is resolution number 2014-220.
This item before you, we spoke about at last week's workshop, and essentially this is a similar grant opportunity that the city has had for the past few years. It's a reimbursable grant from King County Solid Waste to encourage recycling within the city of Pacific, and then the cost we get reimbursed up to $20,000 for our cost. So that's the introduction, if there's any questions.
Questions? It's council's pleasure. Oh, you have a question? Councilmember Olivera.
With us looking towards moving towards all homes having recycling, are we going to continue with this program in the future, do you think?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it picks up
hazardous
oils and items
okay.
that aren't
Okay.
normally waste management.
Styrofoam?
More the white goods like refrigerators, washer dryers, tires, clean wood, household appliances, the
Okay.
things that you typically wouldn't find in the residential solid waste stream.
Okay. I just read recycling.
This is the same one we always have full
Yes.
school in it.
Yes, up at all packs, correct.
Yes, it is. Councilmember Putnam.
This is where I get rid of the car batteries that people from the auction dump in my yard.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
$5.
I was just going to say, you can get $5.
You can get core charges.
Okay, stand back.
Anyway.
Okay. So, what's council's pleasure?
Move to approve resolution 2014-220.
Okay, Councilmember Jones.
It's something that is benefit to the city and the citizens, and money.
Councilmember Walker. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, roll call of council, please.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Olivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
All right.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerberding? Aye. Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, resolution number 2014-221.
Again, Councilmember Steiger introduced this topic as it was talked about at the last Public Works Committee meeting, talked at last week's workshop. And this is to allow the contractor to install compliant ADA pedestals for the intersection, and there's some extra cost for the electrical conduit, the concrete, to do this particular type of work. It also will set us up to comply or facilitate King County's needs and our needs to have the maintenance of the signals after the project is constructed. So this is a necessary component for the construction of the project, but if there are any questions, certainly entertain them.
Questions from council? What's council's pleasure?
Move to approve 2014-221.
Second.
Councilmember Steiger?
We need to keep that project moving.
Councilmember Putnam?
Yep, these are all necessary, upgrades to what was originally designed. Unfortunately, they weren't in there originally, but we need to fix it and move on.
Further comments from council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, roll call of council, please.
Councilmember Olivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerberding? Aye. Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2014-18.
This I know something about. Okay, so we talked about the budget amendment last week. Is there any other questions that might come up? I did want to say that I went over the numbers for the last run of payables and also the last payroll, and we're fine. I even left some so we can pay in January for some of the ones for December. That'll be coming at the first council meeting, which is on the 12th. We have to have it paid by them because the auditors give you till the 20th, and everything after that, so it has to be approved by council before the 20th. That's the last meeting we have, and everything after that goes into the 2015 expenses. So we have some left, there's some things, in case things come up, but not very much, and it has to be approved by the mayor and myself. So are there any other questions?
Questions from council? Council's pleasure?
Move to approve ordinance 2014-1887.
Second.
Councilmember Jones?
This has gone by through finance as well as, our workshop and, the year-end 2014 budget adjustments, and we need to pass them.
Councilmember Putnam?
Just like to say, it's a pleasure to have our year-end budget adjustment, actually done during the year. Not always quite managed that.
Any further comments from council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, roll call of council, please.
Councilmember Olivera? Aye. Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerberding?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the reappointment of Park Board Commissioners.
There are, on the 31st, terms for 2 members of the Park Board will expire. Ms. Hull has withdrawn her request for reappointment as she no longer resides in the city of Pacific. An ad will be placed seeking a resident to fill the vacancy. And the other position, Gary Nitschke is requesting reappointment for that position for a term ending December 31st, 2017.
And the mayor is recommending that appointment. Any questions from council?
Move to confirm the appointment of Gary Nitschke to the Park Board.
Second.
Would you like to speak to your motion?
As former Park Board Commissioner myself, I appreciate the service and glad you want to keep doing it.
Councilmember Olivera?
I agree.
Okay. Any further comments from council? All those in favor of the appointment of Gary Nitschke, the reappointment of Gary Nitschke to the Park Board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you're reappointed, Gary. Thank you very much for your continued service to the city. All right, next item on the agenda is new business, resolution number 2014, setting January 20th for public hearing date.
Mayor and council members, this resolution, as just mentioned, was to set a public hearing date, and this will be a special public hearing date for the January 20th council, as part of the council study session on the 20th, so this will be a special hearing date. Just a little bit of background where we got to the January 20th special meeting date. Did the council recall back in July 28th of this year, the council adopted ordinance 2014-1866, and there was an interim ordinance that put a moratorium on the sale of recreational marijuana and also the sale on any medical marijuana within the city. And that was done by emergency ordinance, and that was a 6-month moratorium. In the interim, the city attorney had created 4 different ordinances for the planning commission to review as part of their view of those marijuana regulations. And the planning commission reviewed those regulations at their August 6th meeting and in a public hearing, and made a recommendation to the city council, they had recommended that, one, that recreational sales of marijuana be allowed in the commercial zone, and marijuana producers and processors be allowed in the light industrial zone. That was the proposed ordinance 1876. The proposed ordinance 1872, which was a ban on medical marijuana sales. The planning commission recommended the council not adopt those regulations, and then another ordinance that dealt with the business licenses, they recommended adopting business license requirements for sales, and then they did not take an action on the prohibition of medical and recreational marijuana. Those recommendations were brought to the council on August 26th, and after consideration of those regulations, the council requested that the ordinance that would have allowed producers and processors and recreational sales marijuana be split up into 2 ordinances, one that would allow just the producers and processors, and one that would just allow the recreational marijuana sales. As a sidebar to all those recommendations, underneath the State Environmental Policy Act, for any regulatory controls being proposed by the city, they have to go through the State Environmental Policy Act, or SEPA for short. That's a nice acronym for it. And we had discovered not too long ago that SEPA had not been processed, so we had to go through the SEPA review process, and like I mentioned before, it's going through our newly adopted SEPA regulations. The appeal process for the SEPA review of the regulatory regulations expires on January 16th. By law, the council cannot take a legislative action on a regulatory control until all SEPA review processes are done. So assuming that there is no appeal of the SEPA process, the SEPA review of the regulations, then the council can hold a special public hearing on the 19th. Yeah, and so that's why we have the hearing set for the 19th, because we need to get a decision by the council on these regulations prior to the expiration of the interim controls on marijuana that's in effect, because that expires on January 28th. So we need to get the public hearing going right away. Now, the city attorney has produced the 2 additional ordinances. I did not provide them as part of this agenda bill because this is just for the setting the public hearing, but those ordinances will be discussed and brought to the council study session for January 5th to get everybody up to speed what the ramifications of those are, and also what the new legislation that came out of the U.S. legislatures, and how that works in terms of what we're doing here on these regulations. So that'll be discussed in more detail, and then we'll also provide you some more information, and hopefully something that's clear on actually what all your options will be regarding these regulations by the time you get to the January 19th meeting.
You mean the 20th?
20th, excuse me.
The 19th
20th.
is a holiday.
I'm 19th. If I'm here on the 19th, it's my problem, right? I mean, January 20th.
January 20th.
Yeah. So.
Questions from council?
Okay, just for clarification, January 19th is a holiday, so we will be having our meeting here on the 20th, and then we were going to be having the marijuana
Public hearing.
Public hearing will be on the 20th.
before the meeting or after the meeting? Separate meeting,
It'll be part of the meeting.
part of the meeting.
Okay.
And I apologize for keep saying the 19th, all the it just got stuck in my head, you know, it's a Monday. Sorry. But it is the 20th, sorry.
Right. So this resolution is just for setting the public hearing date
For the 20th.
for the 20th. All right. Any further questions from council? Council's pleasure.
Move to approve the setting of Tuesday, January 20th, 2015 at 6:30 for a public hearing. Take public comment on the proposed medical marijuana and recreational marijuana regulations. Second.
Okay, Councilmember Jones, would you like to
I
speak?
think we've discussed it to a depth that we don't need to say anything else.
All right, Councilmember Walker?
I agree.
Any further comments from council? Comments from the audience?
Take my comments through in light of the motion. My first comment is I would really encourage you to separate conversations and discussions about permitting, regulating medical and recreational. When you try to talk about them both at the same time, it is one big mess. It's a big mess
Okay,
anyway.
so let's just,
I know, but I can only address what I can address. And I'm commenting on your specific motion to
For
set
public
this hearing
hearing,
date.
right.
And I'm saying, I encourage you to find a way to separate the discussion of those two issues at that public hearing date.
okay,
I really, really urge you to do that. Some way, find a way, because when you ask us to talk to you about our thoughts, there are strong proponents of medical. I have no big problem with medical.
so I'm sorry, Pastor
So-
Goff, I'm just talking about,
The hearing date, and I'm saying, if you're gonna do that hearing, I really encourage you to find a way to separate those two. Number two, if you're gonna set that hearing date, prior to that, I encourage you to find a way to direct your staff to bring forward a resolution banning the recreational pot business. You know you can do it, the courts are supporting that.
okay,
This is my only chance, right? It's my only
well,
chance.
it's not, we're just setting the
My
date.
comments are done.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Pastor Goff, and the regulation, or the ordinance that we'll be discussing will be brought forward on the 5th of January. Any further comments regarding setting the public hearing?
I have one. Is this, we're expected to vote the following week to either approve or deny, right? That's the end of the line.
Well, the options you have on the 20th will be,
It'll be laid out.
it'll be laid out to you, but at its most basic, the options are to continue the moratorium for another 6 months, or adopt regulations dealing with the control of recreational marijuana sales and medical marijuana sales.
Councilmember Olivera?
This is to continue the zoning, correct?
There'll be a moratorium that's underneath 1866 right now.
Councilmember Putnam?
Just to be really technical, since the attorney made a point of it at the time, we have an interim zoning ordinance, not a moratorium.
Yeah.
Moratorium.
It's an interim ordinance,
Yeah.
but it's a moratorium.
Yeah, but there's some legal technicality there that I don't remember the exact difference, but she wanted to make it clear at that time that it was interim zoning, not a moratorium.
Further questions from council? Okay. Was there any additional comments from the audience? Right,
Just
the-
a question,
For setting the date?
yes, okay.
I guess once again, I'm confused, because I understood that there would be possibly 3 or 4 ordinances brought forth at the public hearing. And so, am I understanding correctly that there's also a 5th possibility, which is extending the moratorium 6 months? The zoning restriction.
So let me make a clarification. we have a timeline we have to meet before we can set a public hearing. We are trying to set the public hearing on January 5th. The council, and there's going to be going out in the package, is going to be provided with a matrix. This is what happens if you do this. This is what happens if you do that.
Okay.
Right now, that matrix isn't provided, and none of the ordinances are part of this as well. This will all come to council on January 5th for discussion. Right now, we're trying to meet our timeline. We may even cancel the public hearing depending on council's actions or what they decide to do. Right now, we're just trying to get on record, setting the date for the public hearing so that we can get it done in a timely manner and meet the regulations or the guidelines that have to be met.
Okay, I'm just trying to be clear, because in previous public hearings, it has been said, you can't talk about certain things because they weren't on the agenda of the public hearing. So in this ordinance, setting the date for the public hearing, I don't have your agenda before me. It does include, that it will be ordinances for regulation of medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, and possible extension of the zoning stoppage, let's call it that. So that's in the text of
What the public hearing is being set for is proposed medical marijuana and recreational marijuana regulations.
and that includes a potential extension of the current.
That right now is not really on the table. It may be action that the council will have to take, but it would be emergency action.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it has to be on the agenda or in the resolution that you're adopting tonight.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm sounding short, you guys. I am like in a lot of pain, and I'm just anxious to be at home. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding short. Please forgive me. Okay, any further questions regarding setting the ordinance? All right. Roll call, council, please.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerberding?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Olivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All right. Any discussion, Councilmember Putnam? Councilmember Jones? All right. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is executive session. We'll be going into executive session for collective bargaining per RCW 42.30.140, subsection 4A, for about 10 minutes regarding litigation.
No action.
No action will be taken after the meeting, or after.
Are we back for collective bargaining as well?
This is only for collective bargaining.
Only collective bargaining.
Just litigation.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? We cannot talk about litigation because our attorney is not here. She had to cancel being here tonight, so we can't talk about any potential litigation without our attorney present.
What do you mean?
So, collective bargaining.